Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a really big question, one that feels more relevant than ever. In an age where we're all constantly arguing, how do we even know what's true anymore? We're going to explore this through the lens of Jonathan Rauch's incredible book, The Constitution of Knowledge.
All right, let's just get right into it. You've probably felt this, right? The sense that our shared reality is just fracturing. It's not just that we disagree on opinions, but we can't even seem to agree on basic, verifiable facts. So how on earth did we get here?
You know, this isn't just a feeling we have. It's something people at the highest levels are talking about. As former President Obama put it a few years back, this is more than just political division. He called it an epistemological crisis, which is a fancy way of saying we're in a crisis over how we even know what we know.
And that phrase, epistemological crisis, that's the absolute key here. It means the very system our society has used for centuries to agree on what's real is starting to break down. And this is a huge deal. As one senator, Ben Sasse, warned, a republic will not work if we don't have shared facts.
Now, it's really tempting to blame all of this on social media, or maybe one political party or the other. But what Rauch argues is that the real root of the problem is way deeper, and honestly, it's much more personal. It's actually wired right into our brains, into our evolutionary psychology.
So, how are our own brains the problem? Well, according to the social psychologist Jonathan Haidt, our ability to reason, it didn't really evolve to be this pure objective tool for finding the capital T truth. Nope. It evolved to help us win arguments and stay in good standing with our social group, our tribe.
This chart here just lays it out perfectly. We all like to think of ourselves as the scientist on the left, objectively weighing evidence and searching for truth. But Haidt argues that our default mode, it's much more like the politician on the right. We start with our gut feelings and group loyalties, and then our super powerful brain gets to work finding justifications for what we already believe.
Yeah, our minds are just riddled with these little shortcuts. We've got confirmation bias, which makes us cherry-pick the evidence that fits our views. There's motivated reasoning, which means that the smarter you are, the better you can be at fooling yourself. And then you've got this really powerful one, identity protective cognition. I mean, think about it. Being wrong about, say, tax policy has basically zero cost to you personally. But being kicked out of your social group for disagreeing with them, to our tribal brains, that feels like a life or death threat.
Okay, so this brings up a massive question, doesn't it? If our brains are these flawed, biased tribal machines, how in the world did we ever figure out the structure of DNA or land a rover on Mars? How has the whole project of science ever actually worked?
Well, the answer, according to Jonathan Rauch, is that we essentially outsourced reality. We built this amazing, brilliant social operating system that he calls the Constitution of Knowledge. And it's truly one of the greatest inventions in human history, designed specifically to work around our natural biases.
Think of it exactly like the U.S. Constitution, but for our shared reality. It's not some single document locked in a vault. It's this huge social network of institutions. We're talking science, academia, law, journalism, all of them operating under a shared set of rules. Things like peer review, fact-checking, and open debate. They're all designed to filter out our mistakes and slowly build a body of reliable knowledge.
And this system didn't just appear out of nowhere. It was built over centuries by thinkers who gave us the tools to get past our biases. You had John Locke, who pushed this radical but simple idea of empiricism, actually checking our ideas against the real world. Then Charles Sanders Peirce introduced fallibilityism, this humble idea that we can never be 100% certain, but we can get really good at finding our errors. And finally, you have Karl Popper, who argued science works not by proving things right, but by trying relentlessly to prove them wrong.
So this all comes down to a really simple but powerful process, the critical method. And the absolute genius of it is that it separates the idea from the person. We can attack a hypothesis with everything we've got, without attacking the person who came up with it. This allows us, in Popper's famous words, to let our hypotheses die in our stead. It's a peaceful, unbelievably productive way to handle our disagreements.
But here's the thing. This incredible system, this engine of human progress, is now under a major attack, and it's coming from two very different directions at the same time. And here on this slide, you can see the two fronts of this war. On one side, you have disinformation. You can think of this as troll epistemology. The goal isn't to convince you of a better argument. It's just to create chaos and make you exhausted. The tactic, as one strategist famously said, is to flood the zone with shit so that people just give up on the whole idea of truth. And on the other side, you have what's often called cancel culture. Its method is what Rauch calls coercive conformity. It uses social pressure and really weaponized shaming to scare people into silence and enforce one particular ideological view.
Now, they might look like total opposites, right? But at their core, they are both forms of information warfare. They both reject the fundamental rules of the Constitution of Knowledge. Neither one wants to persuade you with evidence. They want to manipulate you with confusion or coerce you with fear. They're both trying to tear down the very system that allows us to figure things out together.
So, what's the big takeaway from all this? Well, this isn't some simple left versus right fight. What Rauch argues so powerfully is that defending the rules of this system, rules like open inquiry, free expression, and debating in good faith, is a civic duty for every single one of us. It's about preserving the operating system that makes a modern, diverse society even possible.
And that leaves us with a question that kind of echoes what Benjamin Franklin said about the American Republic. The Constitution of Knowledge is a gift. It's a fragile, it's a counterintuitive, but it's a profoundly successful system for turning our disagreements into progress. Understanding it, believing in its values, and defending its institutions, well, that's the challenge of our time. And the question is, are we up for it?